Hey you! Today we're going to be talking about another anime review from Manga Entertainment, and I've got to admit, this one I absolutely adored. The anime we're going to be talking today is called Love, Chunibyo and Other Delusions Rikka version, and I have seen little bits of this. I've seen the characters at least. Never thought, do you know what? What's this anime about? But I decided to check it out, and oh my god, I'm so glad that I did. The two main characters in this anime are Yuta as well as Rikka, and I've got to admit, the characters really grew on me quite quickly. The anime starts off with Yuta talking about his marriage to Rikka, and obviously how they're gonna get married, etc, etc, and everything goes smoothly until one of the other characters, which her name is really confusing and you don't really hear it that much. Dekamori just bursts in and wants Rikka back, and it all starts, and this is what kind of got me, because I was like, oh, it's just a typical maybe love anime. She pulls out a giant hammer. I was not expecting this, and suddenly attacks Yuta, and that's it. Boom, straight away. It turns into like a huge massive battle with dragons, with the other characters fighting back, etc, etc. I absolutely loved this. Now, I'm not too sure if this film was a recap film, you know, those typical ones where we start watching and then all of a sudden it's just like, so you want to know what happened in the series, here is a film about it, and then we're using clips from the anime and that's about it. With watching this, this made me want to go and watch the anime. Now, the entire anime does kind of jump a bit, so it's not just one steady thing, it's loads of clips cut together, so some will be very short, some will be really long, but it kind of gives you an overview of the anime. So as the battle kind of commences, and I've got to admit, I love the attack of like the wedding attack that they do, like the I do beam or something. I thought that was very interesting and very, very smart. We find out that this is an entire dream sequence, and it's just Rikka actually kind of like imagining what it would be like getting married when you have all the other delusions in it. When Rikka wakes up, Dekamori kind of asks, how did she meet Yuta? Dark Flame Master, which I generally thought was a really cool name. She decides to tell the story, so this is obviously how everything kind of progresses, and I think there's a different version coming out very soon, which I am so looking forward to watching. And with all that said, well, let's just jump straight into it. Now, the only special features that you get on this are kind of trailers that have happened previously, and that's it. So it was really interesting to see some of the other trailers for some of the other animes, and some that I think we've reviewed on this channel, or has been on previous ones that we've seen, like, you know, on previous like discs, which I was kind of confused because I thought this would be like showing all the new stuff later on. And I think the anime is over an hour and 20 odd minutes. So let's talk about the overview. Now, I generally really like this because it had a lot of kind of comedy elements. When I first started watching this, I generally thought that this was going to be a magical anime. You have magical girls or you have magical guys, and it's going to be default high school anime. Everyone's got magic powers, and obviously you've got Dekamori, who I keep thinking of Balamori. But Dekamori obviously hates Yuta, wants him dead, etc, wants Rikka for herself. So I kind of thought this, but it's until later on, like much kind of later on, like I'd say probably in the first 10 minutes, where Rikka is kind of like opening doors with her mind. But it's like when you used to be younger and used to play at the doors opening, like, ha, I'm opening it. Well, to be honest, most of us still do this by using the power of the Force or telekinesis, but it's that sort of thing that really kind of stood out. When Rikka actually meets Yuta for the first time, you can tell that she really likes him, but rather than going up going, hey, what's up, boy? I just want to know, I think we should get together. It was more of like, my eye is vibrating and it is hurting. It knows that we're meant to be together. We have to be friends. Or something along the lines. I loved this because it's a really great way to kind of find out. She really actually meets him properly on his kind of like window ledge or his balcony, where he is practicing attacks, where he's like, let the darkness consume you, or the dark flames consume you. She hears this and uses it to her advantage. Oh wow, that really kind of hurts the throat. So you see that this relationship starts forming straight away, and dear God, it's just perfect. She kind of really opens up to Yuta about her family as well. And when she goes to the house, like to get into her apartment, she has a calculator stuck onto the door, and she's like, the secret code, and she puts it in, and she's like, oh, I have to quickly go ahead and find out if there are no traps or something. And it's just the way, to me, it's like, I've got to quickly clean my room. I'm having people in. I've got to make sure it's kind of like clear. And I think one of my favorite parts of this anime is kind of much later on. Rikka has actually turned around to Yuta and says like, oh, my sister, when she wakes up, there's no stopping her. She's evil, blah, blah, blah. Typical older, younger sister, basically brother-sister rivalry, I'm going to say. Rikka is like, haha, you know, you're awake. I must defeat you. And then she runs off, and then her sister just follows her. But the way that this does it, this anime, it blends in reality with delusions or imagination. So you think that there's a huge battle, there is loads of magic effects, and obviously they start fighting each other, you know, like the backflips, the blockings. Rikka has an umbrella where her sister has a ladle. And then at the end of the fight, in typical anime normal thing, it's like, I will end this now. One final attack, and it's just a bop on the head. I was like, perfect. This is perfect. This anime is becoming one of my favorite animes. Dear God, I love it so much. I need to watch the series. As I mentioned before, the anime jumps a lot from different things. So you may get a swimming pool scene where they're all cleaning out a swimming pool. Then it quickly switches to like a montage. I don't understand why there was a montage in this. It was only some of the characters that actually had it, and I thought they all would have got it. So this to me was very kind of weird when I saw it. But then you have stuff like, suddenly they'll be on the beach, and then suddenly they'll be kind of on the dock with this magical thing that they've got to burn or they've already burnt. And it's so kind of weird that you really kind of have to pay attention. And in a way, there isn't really kind of a main focus on the story. It just seems to be either the best bits from the anime series, if there is one, or it's actually kind of like, these are the parts we want to showcase the most to actually get you invested, to actually going to watch the series. And you know what? It worked. One thing I generally really liked about this was that there is no kind of harem type anime feel that you see generally in all the animes. Obviously Yuta doesn't go for all the other girls. They're not all loving him and wanting to be with him. And you see that he kind of really focuses on Rikka, and that's where the relationship builds. That to me is something amazing, and that's what I generally really liked. And it was nice to see a proper relationship build, not just one where, hey, I've got like 3 other girls interested in me and I've got the main character, she really likes me, I want them all, we're all going to be best friends, but I'm going to marry them all, but I really want Rikka only, but I'm going to marry her. You see this in a lot of other animes, etc, etc, and just having one for the 2 characters was amazing. The connection where Rikka's like, I'm unsure this is happening, and Yuta has to kind of be like, look, I really mean this. Let's pinky swear on being together. In that kind of same scene, Yuta confesses his feelings or has said something to her. And then obviously she's turned from being the type of character to be like, oh, I'm going to defeat you, or, you know, there are magical people about, oh my God, you know, the kind of institute, they're all watching. And even seeing like, I want to say Balamori, even when Dekamori comes in, she was like, I've got to take my master back, you know, and then goes for it, and she's like, I'm not playing anymore. You know, it's that sort of thing where it's completely changed Rikka's personality to the point where she thinks that's what Yuta likes or something. Then you have Yuta going all the way to the house saying, come with me. And even when she jumps out the window, they fall into a tree, and I found that quite funny. But when he takes her all the way down to the beach, and then kind of just says like, you know, open the realms of reality or whatever, and then literally blasts everything, you know, she's able to, I think, say goodbye to her father. And oh my God, like, you see this in most animes, but this was really nice and refreshing to see. This was really refreshing and really romantic, and I could see why she would fall for him. You know, she was able to say goodbye to her father, and it was just a really touching moment. And I really loved the special effects that they put in, you know, where he's like summoning the power to actually do this. And this made the anime absolutely perfect for me. So let's talk about the animation. I loved the animation in this. To me, there was not enough magical stuff. I really enjoyed seeing like the bright colors, the random attacks, the amount of stuff that they put in that was just over the top. I really wish there was kind of more of that, but for what it showed, it was absolutely fine, and I was kind of just really impressed with it. I do wish there was more, but for what we got was just the perfect the way it was. Also, you had this switch between reality and delusions and stuff like that. It kind of made me think, oh, which is kind of real at times, because it blended in really, really well. Some of my favorite parts were the battle between Rikka and her sister. Then obviously you had the wedding. It just kind of really stood out, really kind of captivated you. But I also really liked, again, where they're opening doors with their minds or with their powers, and they're like, oh my god, you can do that? Oh, it just, that really kind of spoke to me on so many levels. And, you know, we've all done that. Don't lie. I know you've done that at some point in your life. And if you haven't, then you're lying to yourself, because I know you've done that. Some of the short clips were absolutely fine. Some of them were a bit meh, but in general, the animation was perfect for this. I just kind of wish it wouldn't jump too much to loads of different things all together, that it could have been given you enough time to adjust to it. Let's talk about the writing. I've not said this for a long time, but this is a light-hearted anime. I like light-hearted animes. Obviously, when we've got so many things like from Dragon Ball Super, or we've got loads of other little things that pop along with anime, with this was very light. This basically got you into the series. There was loads of comedy elements. Obviously, again, with the ways that Rikka would turn around and fight her sister. The fact that where they had a summoning circle. The fact is that even Yuta had kind of dreams about one of the characters. You know, loads of little things. The writing was done perfect. This really reminded me of like where we use our imaginations. This to me was nice, and it just kind of took myself away from like the real world and just concentrated on this one. There were so many kind of cute moments in this, that when Yuta would just like bop Rikka on the head to the point where she'd be like, ow, and you know, he would continue on for a little bit, and she's like, why would you do that, ow? And then later, when Rikka is kind of falling off the roof of the school, she's up there for some strange reason, like Yuta would run down and grab her to make sure that she was okay. You know, even all the other characters in this were fine with the delusions, and normally you'd think that some characters would be like, I'm not gonna have that, don't like that whatsoever. I just thought, do you know what? This is really cool. And, you know, it kind of brought a happiness to watching this. And I really want to go watch the series now. So let's talk about the characters. The characters, to me, again, they were all fine. I didn't really hate many of them. The one that I didn't really like that much was Dekamori, because all she would do is like, I have to get my master back. I have to do this. How dare you take that person away from me? And this kind of really affected me. I was like, it's that sort of character again. But for the way she was, it wasn't that overbearing to me. It was just something where it was fine, but it could have been toned down. It did remind me of someone from that Railgun anime that we reviewed. It kind of reminded me a little bit like that, but very toned down. As mentioned before, I really liked the fact that all the characters knew that they were playing with the delusions, that they were playing with props, they were basically just playing, and effectively this made it interesting, because all the characters would be like, oh, I see that you're doing boring stuff, you know, grow up and, you know, stop doing it, to kind of bring down the other characters. So it was very nice balance just to see all this happen. And again, I didn't get annoyed at any of the characters, maybe a tiny bit of Dekamori, but that was it. What made this interesting for me? I have to admit, the battles, the delusions, the way that the colors with the different attacks, you know, when suddenly Dekamori goes like, Apocalypse Hammer, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and you're thinking, yeah, you're kind of taking the mick out of all the other anime characters, like, you know, when they have giant weapons, they can hold them up above their heads. You know, obviously they're summoning the dragons. When Rikka holds up like the kind of umbrella, it's like all magic will not work against this. You know, it's little things like that. Even the kind of the I do beam that they do, the main attack, that it was just really interesting. And then the way that the characters would progress, the way that the characters would be fine with each other, I like this. And especially when Yuta would go straight after Rikka and say, I want to be with you, I want to help you, I want you to be okay. All these things made it interesting for me, and I genuinely really liked it. My final thoughts. This anime is possibly one of the best animes that I've seen for a long time. It was interesting, it was absolutely fine. It had loads of comedy elements in there that I generally really liked. One of my favorite scenes, as I said, was Rikka and his sister at the very beginning. It was just perfectly done, where the sister wouldn't be like, come on, that's it, I've had enough, blah 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 blah. It was just kind of really nice, and you know, the way that they interacted. And then suddenly when Rikka lost, it wasn't a how dare you, I'll get you back. It's like, oh, but it just worked perfectly, I think. This is an anime that I would highly recommend. If you've not watched a series like me, this really kind of tells you about what happens in the anime. It gives you kind of a backstory, so you know who the characters are. I just hope that in the next one that we get, it's going to be even more interesting and have something completely different. So Rangers, what are your thoughts on this? Do you like it? Do you not? Would you get it? What was your favorite moment and who was your favorite character? And if I've missed anything, let me know down below in the comments. And if you've liked this video, like, favorite, comment, and consider subscribing. Check out all the other videos on the channel. If you want to help out the channel on Patreon, links in the description down below. And as always, Rangers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.